Well, I'm an engineer originally, electrical, electronics engineer, but got involved really in systems work, in the sense of like understanding how does everything work, you know, in this, if you like, the biggest sense, and followed the pretty typical engineering management career up until about 2000, and was latterly program director on the Type 45 destroyer program at Yarrows or BAE, until I used up my corporate 9 lives, if you like, at least on that job, and also at the same time decided that that corporate career wasn't really the thing for me, because it ends up, among other things, you get on a plane on a Monday morning and come back on a Friday, typically. And so I came out of all that, went into smaller company stuff for a while, did consultancy work and so on. But before I left, or about a year before I left BAE, my boss at the time said, David, there's certain things you're doing are holding you back. Can't tell you what they are exactly, but certain things are holding you back. But what he was really alluding to was that certain mistakes I was making with other people were undermining the rest of what I was doing. Not so much with my boss or people that worked for me, but other individuals in the organisation or commercial partners or whatever. All those multifarious people that you need to somehow marshal to get a complicated objective done, like land a shipbuilding contract, you know, which is a big thing, obviously. So I came out, did the kind of small company equivalent of that for a while, but then around about 2004 ended up learning NLP among other things. I also got trained as a mediator, and at that point so I was set off on a journey of thinking, I've now learned some things that are a great answer to this issue of just being more insightful and more mindful as well, and understanding more clearly what's going on between individual people and how to make something different happen. And I, for various reasons to do with the people involved and so on, I just sort of felt called really to write about that and to take that kind of learning to the world. And the reason why I put it in that almost spiritual sense is because the guy that I mostly learned from at that time had a really massive stroke at 53, and he was taking these kind of ideas to the world, but he was suddenly unable to. And I had this real sense of something kind of falling on the floor in front of me, and being, in a sense, invited to pick it up. And that's effectively what I did. And then, you know, 5 years later, a book eventually appeared, and now my working life really is about helping people make a difference just by being more insightful about what's going on with other people, because it can make a huge difference, just learning some of these skills. And there's a number of other personal reasons why I do that. And one of them, because there's a lot of stepping out involved in doing what I do, really. And I have a son with special needs, and several years ago now, we went visiting schools to see where would be suitable for him, and met some children with really very serious kind of problems, like David Cameron's boy, Ivan. Do you remember the boy that died? And I remember looking at this boy who would be about 5 or 6, who was in a wheelchair with sort of metalwork holding his head up. And there were a whole lot of children in the room. And it's him looking at, and he can't speak or anything, you know, and him looking at me, you know, and I'm looking at this boy, and of course you think, what's going on in that head? What's it like to be in there? And I had a real slap about the head, really, that said, David, if you can do something with your life, you bloody well should, because not everybody gets the same chance.